Good afternoon. Sister Dorothy has been with the Brahma Kumaris for the last 39 years, and she is the Director of Programs at Peace Village Learning and Retreat Center, New York. She serves on the faculty for self-development and quality life programs and is also a board member of the Brahma Kumaris USA. Her background is in the field of education with a BAE from the University of Florida. She was a teacher from 1967 to 1971. 71. From 71 to 75, Sister Dorothy entered the world of radio as an account executive. Thereafter, she became a business entrepreneur in retail from 1979 to 2002. In search for God and meaning of life, she came across the Brahma Kumaris in 1986 in Tampa, Florida. And our moderator for today is Sister Philippa Blackman. Good evening, Sister Philippa. Sister Philippa Blackman is a journalist and a radio presenter, having worked for BBC Radio in the UK for many years, including 7 years as one of the voices of Women's Hour. She is now the coordinator of a national project, 100 Women of Spirit, which recognizes the spiritual contribution to society made by women. She is an ordained interfaith minister and has studied Raj Yoga meditation with the Brahma Kumaris for almost 40 years. And with that, now I hand over the stage to Sister Ranjan.
Good morning and good afternoon and good evening to everyone, those who are there, and especially welcome to Sister Dorothy and Sister Philippa. And I'm very, very happy and thankful to both of you that in a short time, you both accepted our invitation. So we want to enjoy today's session and today's dialogue and want to learn from both of you. And I think today we have not connected with Spanish community from South America because it was short notice. Otherwise, they all take benefit, but definitely they want to hear you and they will listen on this our YouTube channel. So thank you, and let's go ahead. Thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you so much, Sister Ranjan. Thank you so much, dear Sister Jyoti. Greetings of love to our Dallas brothers and sisters. It's wonderful to be with you again in this very special month of January, special because it is our month of remembrance and special meditation as we think of the life of the founder, the instrument, the human instrument which founded the Brahma Kumaris, Prajapita Brahma, or Brahma Baba, as we call him. 18th of January is that special date. So it feels particularly auspicious that it's in this month that we welcome Sister Dorothy from Peace Village to our series. Dorothy, it really is, as Ranjan says, such a delight to have you with us all the way from Peace Village. Is that where you are at the moment?
I am. I'm in Peace Village right now, enjoying the snow that's going to be coming in a few hours.
Is that right? Oh, that I envy you. I love snow, and we haven't had snow this year. So that'll be really magical. And you have had quite a broad spectrum career, shall I say, through education, through commerce, through working in radio, and then as a business entrepreneur. You really have lived a full and varied life. And now here you are as director of programs at Peace Village in upstate New York, which is one of our premier retreat centers globally. It's a place I haven't yet visited myself, but I very much look forward to it. How is your experience living in Peace Village, in that spiritual community? How many years have you been there, and what has your journey been in that time?
Well, my journey started at Peace Village when it opened, actually like a few weeks before it opened, when we were, negotiating the contract. And so I've been here for 25 years. what I tell people, I've been here a quarter of a century. It sounds like it's much longer that way. My experience here has been wonderful. When I came from Tampa, because I was asked to come, and at that time I sold my business, closed my house, sold it, and then moved to Peace Village. So it was a big change, especially moving from sunny Florida, which is subtropical and always flowers and greenery, to the north. It was a huge acclamation for me, that part. But what I love most about Peace Village is just living with such a big spiritual community, because two reasons. One is you get to share your spirituality every day, almost every moment. And that's nice to live with such a large family. Right now we have about 22 of us here, and plus those that come to volunteer and be with us. And sometimes they come for a month or two. But there's another reason I like being here, because being with such a large family of 22 or more, you get a lot of workouts. Do you know what I mean, Philippa, by workouts? So a lot of tests.
I do.
And this just builds your strength, actually. Someone asked me once about my experience here, and I said, well, it's like being in a big frying pan, but I feel I've come out well done. So well done in both aspects. And so that's my experience here. And I love serving. I love serving humanity in whatever way I can. And it's just been a beautiful experience living in such a huge retreat center. We have 300 acres and 5 buildings.
It just sounds absolutely glorious.
And we're waiting for you to come, Sister Philippa.
Would really, really love to come, especially if you have snow. That would just be the icing on the cake.
Oh, okay, well then you
And
come soon.
come soon. You say that you're living in a community, and that you get well baked. You get done on both sides, as we say here. And the topic that we have for this evening is purity of feelings, or pure feelings. And it's amazing that we've been doing this series for now, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, coming up 2 years, and we haven't yet looked at this theme of pure feelings. And yet it's such an important one, because as yogis, we often like to work on what we call the vices, which is your anger, your greed, your ego, your lust. And to a certain extent, you can work on those and feel that you're getting somewhere. But with the subject of pure feelings and our feelings, they're really sneaky little things, feelings. And they have a habit of creeping in and coming in through the gaps that we've left, and surprising us and sometimes overwhelming us in a way that we can't always control what we are feeling. So I wonder if maybe we can begin with what you understand by that phrase, pure feelings. How do you interpret that?
Well, that I have the most elevated, best wishes for every soul that comes in front of me, every soul that I have an interaction with, and for every scene, no matter what, no matter how challenging the relationships may be, the scenarios may be, but just to have the purest feelings. And Philippa, that's the reason I want to have the purest feelings, is because it makes me feel so good. When I'm not having the purest feelings, I notice that I don't feel grand. I like feeling grand. I would like every moment of my life to be in that grandeur, that feeling of greatness that I think nourishes the soul, nourishes the body, nourishes the heart.
People sometimes think, maybe when they look at a meditator or a yogi, that you've somehow stepped into this world where you've pretty much got things under control. You know, you've got your main vices are under control. You've got, you know, your feelings are, you know, only the feelings that you want to have. And they may feel that, you know, perhaps we're living this life of ease where that we're never troubled by difficult feelings. And yet I know that, you know, any community situation, and you've hinted at it already, where you're rubbing up alongside 22 other individuals, and the potential there for being triggered, having feelings coming up in you because of things that someone might have said or might have done, you know, they're so huge. Can you paint us a picture of the reality of yogi life when you're living in a community like that?
Okay, well, I have to remind myself of situations and personalities and the relationships that I have with others. I continually remind myself to bring myself back into that heartfelt feeling that I really don't want to lose. Why do I not want to lose it? Because I love myself and I want to keep loving myself. And so these situations do come and they challenge us. They challenge me all the time. And I think the reason we all get challenged, yes, we say we're not going to get challenged because we're in a spiritual community, but we do. And so everybody thinks their way is right. The thing is, they are right. Everybody's way is right. Their thoughts are right. But our rights are different perspectives of being right. And so I like to think about it that way, that they're right according to what they're doing or saying or acting. And how do I want to be right? Or we might even say righteous. So if someone comes in front of me and they're acting very hostile, well, I know that's not right, but they feel they're right because they have a position, they need to vent something. But I remind myself that I want to act according to my values. I don't want to be sucked into someone else's right or someone else's scenario, whatever they're thinking, whatever is bothering them. I want to stay within my own realm of peace, love, gratitude, because it just fills me. It nourishes my body. And I really think it has a big effect on our health. It really does. And I practice this as much as possible, of staying in a very elevated mood, elevated feelings, because I know how important it is to our world. But really, I'm a little selfish because I know it's important to me to excel on this spiritual path. And so I keep focusing back on my own feelings.
I don't know about you, but I find the more time goes on, the more important it becomes to really keep a check on what you are feeling towards others, and that the distance between having a feeling that is not your best feeling and experiencing the return or the outcome of that space gets shorter and shorter. It's almost like when you reach a certain level of practice, you actually can't get away with it because it will come back and smack you in the face so quickly and give you that realization that actually that was not my best moment when I had that feeling towards that person. Have you found that?
Oh, yes, all the time. But some personalities are maybe more challenging for us. Like I can think of a challenging situation, personality right now that I'm going through, that's pulling me. It's pulling my intellect. And so what I like to do, and this really helps, I rehearse that I'm going to have to meet this soul this afternoon. And I know this soul is always going to come up with the same kind of language and their personality that they exemplify with. And so I practice, how am I going to respond? And so I rehearse it. Just if we're actors, right? We all are actors. And so I like to enact that. And some people say, well, you know this saying, Philippa, fake it till you make it, right? But I change it, and I like to think of it as enact it till you attract it. So I enact the way I'm going to respond to this challenging situation, because this soul's always going to challenge me, because that's the way they are. Their habits or sanskars are quite different. Their way of communicating is quite different. So I see that, I rehearse it, I accept it. And I think this is important, this word acceptance, to keep my feelings pure. Not that I agree with the way this person is responding or reacting, but I accept it. I accept it because it's in front of me. So what else can I do? And I don't want to resist, because when we resist something, there's always pressure, there's uncomfortableness, you're resisting. So I kind of like to focus on, okay, let me accept this person, this relationship, the way they are. And I think that practice helps to emerge my own purity and my own true love. It's actually teaching me how to love again. And I think this is important. We've kind of forgotten to do that. But just as a mother would put up with everything from her child, from the peanut butter fingers that slap her face, it's such pure love. And so I think the path is really just about love and pouring out that love as much as possible, even if it takes humility, which is beautiful, taking the back seat, but just be love, because again, I'm selfish. I know when I can love this challenging situation or this person, my heart is being nourished and every cell of my body. Feelings to me are
I love that point. Yeah. What you just shared of, accepting people for who and what they are, without the need to try and fix them or change them, but just continue having pure feelings regardless of how they're choosing to be. And I love that. Enact it until you attract it. I think that's a really great little saying. And of course, having pure feelings towards people when they're being nice and kind and having pure feelings for us is easy. Having pure feelings for someone when you don't particularly get on with them and they're perhaps triggering your stuff is less easy, but it's doable. What I find hard is maintaining pure feelings when someone has actually wronged you. They have done something which you might, in a different scenario, feel that you have a right to be angry with them for what they've done. Let's give an example. Maybe they have talked about you behind your back in a way that has been really detrimental for you, or they have taken something that you felt was yours and you feel wronged. You've really had something done to you which contravenes your code of conduct. And you have to find it within yourself to forgive them and not necessarily love the behavior, but still love the person and maintain pure feelings towards that person despite the fact that they have wronged you. That to me seems like a big challenge. And I wonder how you would approach a situation like that.
Well, I've had many situations like that, and I may have had the very biggest situation that anybody could possibly have. And I'm reminded what Plato says. He says, holding on to anger, and we can even add forgiveness in that, okay, or not being able to forgive. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other guy to die. Again, I care for myself, but this was many years ago. I think it was over 40 years ago, and I was betrayed by my father. Now that's a close relationship, right? And I could not forgive him. I really just could not. And then I was reading a book, and it was before I got into this spiritual path of the Brahma Kumaris, and I was reading positive things. And I had cancer, terminal cancer at the time. And this book said that most cancers develop because of unrecognized feelings, hidden resentments is what they called it. And I said, well, yeah, I have a resentment, but I have a reason to resent. But I was faced with death, Philippa. And so I was going to change that for myself. And I had this understanding. I didn't have the understanding then, but I have it now, that bundles of thoughts become your attitude. But you have to really concentrate on the right bundles of thoughts. So I would sit every day and I would send my father love. And at first it was very dry love. And I say, okay, love. Okay, I'm sending you love. There, I just sent you love. And I didn't want to die. And I wanted to love myself, and I wanted to be nourished and live life to the fullest. And every day I just kept doing it. And I noticed that it became easier to where I really sent him love. And I began having such mercy for him. Maybe it's when that love entered the shell that was around my heart that I was able to have mercy for him. And I'm thinking, I do really have mercy. He was doing the best he could. He was playing his part, whatever his part was, whatever he perceived it to be. And I had mercy for him because he has the karmic return of that, so that ill will that came. And so it became very easy. And I do love that soul. And it's so wonderful because once you're free, you get to think about the wonderful things that your father or whoever did in your life. He used to hold me up on his two hands and I would stand on them. And when he was a good father, he provided. And sometimes, and especially when we're out of sorts with someone, we're always thinking about why we're out of sorts with them. But if we can recollect all the wonderful times that we had, most of our difficulties come from people that we really loved at one time, that we were friends with at one time. I mean, we don't argue with strangers. It's usually our brothers or sisters. So that's my experience.
Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing. And thank you for sharing that chapter in your life. It sounds like, you were really in the darkest of places. And, I salute the way that you turned it around for yourself and look what you went on to achieve. And I think, if I think back to times when I had been wronged and I held on to the wrongdoing and I held on to my right to feel wronged until I realized that actually the only person my negativity was affecting was myself. And, you know, to go into that crucible of forgiveness where you can go on that journey that you described, where you find within yourself the ability to love that person despite everything. It frees you to be free yourself. And, you know, I don't know your health story, but I'm guessing that with that realization, you began to turn your health around, and, you know, you seem pretty good now, and it's a many years later. So, you know, it clearly has worked for you. And I do wonder about this aspect of pure feelings, that it is a fine line between suppressing difficult emotions and just burying your head in the sand, or choosing to look in the other direction and not engage with it and almost pretend that it's not happening. But your body, you can't fool your body, and your body knows what you're actually feeling, even if you're trying to override it with positive thoughts. And I wonder if you've got any advice on how to find that sweet spot between not being in denial about your true feelings, but also not indulging in them to the point where you're drawn into negativity. How do you do both those things and find that middle ground?
What a beautiful question. I love the question. It's excellent. It's very inspiring for me. So you said about not hiding the feelings. We don't want to suppress our feelings, but we want to work on transforming those feelings. Okay, so you have to face that you have these negative feelings like I had for this person, but now begin to transform them. And it took me some time, a month or two. I don't know. It was so long ago, I didn't record how long it was. But I really feel we have to transform. And I do believe that too, that all our thoughts, bundles of thoughts, do become an attitude. And an attitude is something that's hidden back there that you don't always know it's there. But it always comes as a feeling. For example, I go to the mall and I see someone and they say, "Oh, Dorothy, it's so good to see you. You know, I tried to call you so many times." And inside, my attitude says, that's not true. I can feel, because our subconscious relates to the other one's subconscious. You know, we read each other. Some are able to do that very intuitively and right on, and some maybe not so much, but it could be a practice. And so realizing that, and then transforming my feelings that I'm having at that time. Oh, she is, just always tells these kinds of things. She doesn't really, not happy in seeing me, but I can still be happy in seeing her. I could be happy because I love being happy. It's so fulfilling. So let me be that instrument of service to that soul who probably, every soul needs happiness. Every soul needs love. Every person, we all need it, but we need it mostly. So my journey, I think, Philippa, is knowing that it's really working on myself. And you mentioned about my health. Well, that was over 40 years ago, or 40 years ago. And it was terminal cancer, and I got rid of it naturally. Okay. It was, all the surgeons, including my internist brother, said if I didn't get it cut out, I wouldn't live. But that's when I really worked on my feelings of transforming. We just can't suppress it, but we have two paths. We could either think this way or think that way, deliberate on this or deliberate on this. and I just jumped tracks. You know, in the old days when were riding in your vehicles, you could push button the bad station you didn't want anymore. Well, that's what I like to do. I just push the button and change tracks and get on a good track that's going to be fulfilling to myself. I told you in the beginning I was very selfish. You can see it always points back to myself. But as we fill ourselves with more love, we can actually give more love to others and be more loving. And I think that's the path of humanity. Or humanity.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. And as you're speaking, I'm getting this sense of, the almost ancestral pain and trauma that each of us carries to a certain extent. And if you look at the conflicts that are happening in the world at this time, the root of it is people who've had difficult feelings towards another group of people, people who have felt wronged by another group of people, and people who are feeling entrenched in their position. And rather than look at their own part in that, it's easier to just project those bad feelings towards the other and go after them. And yet, when every individual goes on this journey that you're describing of transforming those difficult feelings and turning them around and making them something very different from what they were, in a sense, you are doing that on behalf of humanity, because that's one more drop in the bucket of acceptance, forgiveness, love, and unconditional love. And that's a powerful thing for any human being to do.
It is. It's a powerful thing for humanity. I like what you said about humanity, and we have to do that. We're all in the same boat together. Whatever I am thinking at someone, about someone, is going to affect me, and it's going to affect my neighbor. But I liked what you said about ancestral, baggage that we have. And when you were talking about that, and even cultural, for example, this whole thing that's happening between Israel and Gaza, or the Palestinians, I come from a Jewish background and I lived in Israel for a while. And so I had to catch myself. I really had to catch myself, because I felt that what happened to the Israelis during the first attack was horrific. And so my heart was with them, but my heart was with them more than the Palestinians. And I had to transform that too. And so I do watch the headlines of, that is on the computer. And, but then as I watch what strife now that the Palestinians are going through, I saw a little video of a man who lost his wife, he lost his children, and he had one child that he was holding in his hands, in his arms, that they picked up from the rubble, and he was in tears. Well, how could you not love? How could you not love? We're all, I love this word, humanity. We're all in the same big family. And to get beyond that and have total equanimity, equality with my love. That's another practice that I have to keep focusing on for myself, is to have total equality. Even here at Peace Village, I want to have total equality for the littlest one and the biggest one. When I say littlest and biggest, I'm talking about name or roles that we all play. I think most of us want to get along with the person who has the biggest role or the biggest label. But I don't do that. I don't like doing that. I like helping the little guy. And but developing this equanimity, this, attitude of equanimity and feelings of equanimity. Can I share another
Very
story?
nice.
And
Please do. Mm.
this is from Princeton University, which focuses for me on feelings and the importance of feelings. And if you get this answer right, I will give you $1,000. If you don't get it right, you have to come to Peace Village.
It sounds like a win-win to me.
Yeah. So what they did is they had 5 people in a room, and this is the engineering department, and they measured the electromagnetic field around these 5 people. And they told these 5 people to send peace to the world, to the other side of the planet. And they did so. Then they sent them out. Then they brought them back into the room, and they said to them, now we want you to feel peace and send that feeling to the other side of the world. And they measured the electromagnetic field again. What's your answer? How much greater was the electromagnetic field? You don't have to answer because you're probably going to lose unless you read this experiment.
As a number? You mean as a number? What was the reading?
Yes. How much more was it when they sent their feelings?
Twice.
5,000 times greater. I know. You have to come to Peace Village.
5,000 times.
And so I think feelings, pure feelings, Philippa, for me, comes with understanding the magnitude of our feelings.
Yeah.
The magnitude of our feelings. And some people say to me when I share that, but the soul is the most important thing, and we feel the soul's here. Yes. But when I get into my car, when I have to go to the supermarket, and I have a beautiful car, beautiful engine, oh my God, there's no petrol, no gas in the vehicle. And so, yes, I feel that when you have the purest feelings in your heart, that's the petrol for the soul. I believe that.
Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful.
It has to be a belief.
And whoever you're thinking about in whatever situation, whoever they are, wherever they're from, they are still my brother, they are still my sister. And I always find it so touching when you hear an interview from someone who has had a bomb dropped on them or had some dreadful thing done to them, and they say, I forgive that person. I understand that they lived a difficult life, and it's not their fault, and I don't hold any bad feeling towards them. You always think, wow, how have they arrived at that place where they genuinely feel that? And I wonder what answer you would give to that question of how do we find that power, that strength? Where do we draw it from to transform those difficult feelings into pure feelings in a way that you did when you said you just switched the radio station to a different channel? What was the power in you that enabled you to make that switch? And if someone is in a place where they're really struggling to transform that feeling, can you suggest something that they can do that would help them move their perspective to a bigger place?
Back to the understanding of what they're doing to themselves, and then to realize, let me enact it till I attract it again. I'm an actress, I'm an actor. Let me just act like I have the purest feelings for them. What would that feel like if I can, in my heart, really when I just enact it, fake it till I make it. We have to practice it. It's a practice. It's just like we are actors. So just walking that practice, that's all it takes. It seems so simplistic and yet so difficult. But once you start doing it, it is not difficult. The practice becomes easier and easier. And I'm reminded of the first time I went to try to ride a bike. I was petrified and I was so scared. It was so difficult. And my father was pushing the bike behind me, and all of a sudden he wasn't there anymore. And it's like life is like riding a bike. You would just have to try it, but it's our trying. No, I don't want to. He doesn't deserve it. How can I do it? This is how I really feel. Just act it out. Make believe you're on a stage, okay? And you're acting out this part. That's all you have to do is enact it to you a trick.
Love it. I mean, that is definitely my take-home message from our conversation. But I wonder if you, I mean, I know your meditation practice, so I kind of know the answer to this question already, but the way in which you draw on a greater power and connect to a source of unlimited pure feelings towards the whole, regardless of the detail. And when we make a connection with that source of power and learn the technique for drawing some of that into ourselves, then we can transform any feeling, any situation into something which is going to be pure.
So that's a good question too. You always come up with such dandies. And so intellectually understanding that there's a higher power, a God of our understanding, the supreme soul, the supreme source, the one. Understanding that intellectually is one thing, but going through these dark times with a companion and using that companion at that time, and not just intellectually, but bringing the companion in. And thank you for reminding me to bring him in now, because that's what I've done right now, is bring him in. And I think that's what we have to do. However each one sees God, it doesn't matter. Just the love for the one. We have different names of calling that one, the source, the supreme soul, the father, the mother, but connecting with that. And then you do feel a different volume of energy. You do feel a different tone within yourself, when you take that one as the companion, not just, oh, there's a God up there, but just bring him on my shoulder. Or what I like to do sometimes is just bring him right here on my face and let him merge in, like a body of light that just entered me. And I'm shedding God's light on the personality, the situation, the relationship, and flowing with his way instead of maybe my dark way that I was kind of near.
To what extent do you think meditation is simply the art of learning to reside in pure feeling?
Oh, I think it's fundamental, meditation, because you are connecting with the powerhouse of purity. And we know God loves everyone, even the most deplorable situation that ever happened, that someone enacted. He would still love that one. So he is, or she is, or that source is the ocean of purity. There is nothing but purity and goodness. coming to that one and going from that one. So when I'm in companionship with that one, I'm being colored by that company. And that color feels so good. It's a golden white color that just nourishes the body, the soul, everything, everything. Feelings are the most important thing, I think, for all of us. True, authentic feelings. We can make the darkest feelings become true, authentic, pure feelings, without a doubt.
For
We have
anyone, for anyone, yeah, for anyone listening to this who speaks Hindi, would the translation of that, what you're describing, be bhavna? Do you think? Is that what we mean by bhavna?
I think I don't know too much Hindi, but it would be bhavna, but it would be even something a little deeper, and it would be basna. Basna is not just bhavna, but it's the act of the bhavna. Someone with Hindi can correct me.
But that would be a concept that anyone from an Indian background would be familiar with. You know, this being mindful of pure feeling as a daily practice, which I think in Western society we haven't carried that intention with quite the same diligence, as you know, where you're sitting. You know, you've got, you know, your Native American traditions who probably journeyed with pure feeling more authentically than some of our Western brothers and sisters have done. But it is at the heart of spiritual life and spiritual practice, the compassionate mind. You know, it's there at the heart of all these traditions, isn't it?
It is. And I like the way you said the heart, because the heart always fascinates me too. So it's at the heart. And the feelings in the heart pump out the blood that go to every cell of your body, every organ, the pancreas, the liver, the intestines, the face, everything. And so what's in the heart, we want the goodness to go through the whole body. And that is also healthy for the body and life. That's the healthiest lifestyle someone can choose. Everyone's so concerned about the vitamins and nutrients they take, the water they drink, and all of that's important. And the juices they drink, but the blood that's pumping through the body every second to every cell is more important.
I mean, that's just such a beautiful image that you're painting, that if we learn to really vibrate with that frequency of pure feeling, our whole body begins to take on that frequency, and we begin to vibrate as you know, electromagnetic beings that we are, with that frequency. And that then becomes what we're attracting from the world around us. And if we can all learn to do that, then, you know, surely the world will eventually flip into a place where that is the frequency that is happening everywhere automatically all the time. And that's a wonderful image if you think about it like that.
Yes, it's beautiful, right? So the heart is pumping,
Well, I
and
think,
it's pumping more than just blood.
yeah. I think we've kind of talked ourselves to a place where we're almost there in our feeling. You know, we've really landed this idea of pure feeling so beautifully. And thank you so much for guiding us with your own life experience and your wisdom to help us reach this place where I'm certainly feeling connected to that wonderful, pure-hearted feeling. And I wonder if we can bring our conversation to a conclusion through a meditation experience that we can share together. And if you could talk us through with your own words and help us really settle in that place of pure feeling, as we bring our time together to a close. That would be beautiful, Dorothy. Thank you.
And how much time should I take?
You've got 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Yeah.
So, Om Shanti, I am peace. And what I would like to do is ask every one of us, including me, to think of a person who is challenging us now, who's got our attention, a situation. Let's just practice. So pick the situation, the relationship that most challenges you. It could be something now or from the far past, doesn't matter. We all have something. And just with your heart and the goodness within your soul, generate love. Just let your heart blossom and the soul blossom, both areas of your body. Just radiate love because it's so nourishing for the self just to be love. Don't have to have an excuse. Just be the love that you are. The purest feelings, the innocence that you are. And let that feeling shower on the situation, the relationship, whatever you chose. You are so grand, so magnificent. You are a hero actor. This is what hero actors do. They step up to the plate and they rectify. They're above. And as you do this, notice how grand you feel. How sparkling your face feels. Your eyes. Nothing but love. It's easy. Philippa said, it's easy to love the people who are loving. Paraphrased it. But to love those challenging times really elevates us. We are the ones we've been looking for. We are the heroes. How big is our heart? Can we extend the capacity of our heart, the feelings within the heart? It's the practice like this that we do that becomes easy to love all, no matter what, and ignore anything else. Om Shanti.